Welcome back to Revenue Margin, brought to you by Rob Malenik. As we head into Thanksgiving, a holiday built around showing your family members and loved ones that you care and think of them, being thankful internally for our lives and for those around us that loved us. We also should step back as colleagues and leaders and start to appreciate, where we spend the most time of our lives at work, and appreciate the environment and our colleagues. You're going to start to think about gratitude over the next few days. And I just think it's really important to think about the gratitude we show internally to other people. It's not just a once a year type of thing too. I think that a lot of times if you do it just once a year around Thanksgiving, just the same with family members and friends, is that, it doesn't really show up. You really need to have that culture, and your leadership style needs to be showing this on a day-to-day basis. But today is a good day to think about what that culture is. What is the best case scenarios? Well, why gratitude though and being thankful really matters is that you and I know that that work can get really intense. That what we do here, there's deadlines, there's growth targets, there's client demands. It all piles up. But in the middle of all that pressure, how do you show gratitude? It's one thing that really ultimately keeps your team connected and grounded. The research really does back this up. Teams that consistently show appreciation within each other have higher engagement, lower turnover, and have way better performance. And honestly, that comes from the top down. You as a leader set that tone. If you're all about the results and you're always driving forward, always trying to say, we got to hit this next target. If you don't get me there, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's not going to go very well. But if you show gratitude during that process, if you show not just the win gratitude, but the journey, people really do go extra miles for you. They love where they work at. When they get recruited, when they have doubts, they look back and wow, this was probably one of the best places I worked at. They tend to also bring their best ideas when they know that that effort isn't invisible. They stay longer when they feel like they matter. So at the end of the day, what does that mean though? It's if you're saying that, gosh, I'm only going to show gratitude towards when things are perfect. It doesn't get very, very far. I mean, to be honest with everyone, is anything ever perfect? You got to acknowledge the good. You got to acknowledge when things are messy and uncertain, when they're hard, when somebody makes a mistake. Do you acknowledge that person or what they did? Somebody loses a client. Do you sit down and talk to them about why it happened and listen to them and associate with sometimes it's really not their fault, and did they do everything they possibly could to be able to accomplish what they needed to? Did you show gratitude for their effort? It goes a long ways. It builds true loyalty with you and that individual. So how do you show gratitude? I think I'm going to ask everybody, I'm going to give 3 examples of some ideas I had, but I would like everybody to think about what you do to show gratitude and put that in the comments. So here's some very simple things that I try to do. So I try not to be generic. I try to be very specific when I give out the great jobs. I don't just say, hey, awesome job there, you did great, move on. I say, wow, you did a really great job communicating there. I think that was impactful for how that person perceived that situation. Or thank you, sir, to reaching out to that individual and partnering with them and pulling them in and coaching them on how to be able to do this. It really means a lot to me and to that individual and to the team. You might also say, gosh, yes, we lost that client, but wow, you did a great job communicating with the client, telling them what it was going to do. And at the end of the day, yeah, they decided to move on, but they just, you did everything right in that situation. And thanks for being my colleague. Really appreciate you, and we'll get the next one. I think that being specific means a lot because you show you're paying attention. In addition to that, I think celebrating the effort, and I mentioned this before, not just the outcome. And so often we're always celebrating, oh, you landed that sale. Congratulations, awesome job. But nobody talks about the 16 networking meetings you went to be able to land that one client. And I think that's the key item, that you need to actually step back and try to think about what people are doing on a day-to-day basis when you talk to them about what they're doing for their clients, or for what they're doing for work. Do you ask them what did they achieve the last couple of weeks? What's been really hard on them? And show gratitude for that effort, not just for the outcome. And then third is that I think you need to make gratitude public and private and acceptable. What I mean by that is that you can give public statements in front of multiple people about the success that we're having as a team, or what they specifically brought to the table. And then you can also give private communication to them, and specifically saying to them, like when you're talking to them one-on-one, following up with that public commentary and basically continuing to drive that gratitude and that team culture. I also think you need to make it acceptable. And what I mean by that is that when somebody brings up and speaks in front of a meeting and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you," you should say, "No, I'm grateful that you jumped into that discussion. I want you to speak up here in the meeting. I'm grateful for you attending and being here today." So that they don't feel they have to apologize or like they have to like horn in. Other people see that and hear that, and it sets the culture for maybe the person that isn't going to speak up normally, but they see somebody else apologizing. You specifically called, "No, don't apologize. We're grateful for you being here today, and I appreciate your voice." That next person that was not ever going to speak up is now open to speaking up because they saw that interaction. And they saw that you wanted to be able to be there as a team member, and you encourage them to actually do the same kind of gratitude culture within the team. Kindness and gratitude is critical. I think that ultimately gratitude is looked at some individuals that are leaders and other individuals as basically like, well, you're weak, or it's not as powerful as getting the job done. And I completely disagree with this. It's not just about being kind. It is the most important strategic thing that I've learned over my career. One of a leader that I one time worked with, and honestly, he didn't really get it, said to me, like, "Rob, you're always, kind and like joking around with your colleagues and asking questions for them, and you're interrupting meetings at the beginning of them for just a few minutes to really have these interactions. You should just focus on business and, get the job done." And I disagreed with that individual and told him why. I told him that this is important culture and team culture. They disagreed. We can have a disagreement. But I think that's the reason why my team members really focused on that as a team and a culture within that organization, is because I was driving that leadership when that individual wasn't. And so it sets an emotional tone for the team. It builds loyalty, and it reminds people that work is human, that we actually matter to each other. And gratitude isn't soft. It isn't just about being kind. It is powerful, and it gets results way better than demands, threats, or fear. So as Thanksgiving approaches, take a moment to look around your organization. Notice the people that make things happen for you. Thank them. Call out their impact. Lift them up. A grateful leader, you build a grateful team. And I would argue that a grateful and kind team wins way more than ones that are being pushed down. So happy Thanksgiving to you and your teams. Please leave in the comments below any suggestions that you would do associated with showing gratefulness and Thanksgiving at work. And please enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family and friends also. Thank you so much for my team members. Lastly, is that each one of you means a lot to me. If you listen to this video to the end, thank you so much for being there with me, and appreciate everything you do. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And thank you for joining Revenue Margin.